Hello, I'm Katrina Martin, your enrolled agent and tax strategist, here to follow up on a video that I did last week that talked about the difference between an LLC and S corporation. Now, in that video, I talked about when is a good time to elect to be treated as an S corporation versus being a sole proprietor or a single member LLC. Now, the time I usually recommend is when you start hitting about $40,000 net, because remember, at that point, that Social Security and Medicare self-employment tax tends to start to hurt a little bit, right? That's about the time that I recommend that. However, S corporations have rules, right? There's regulations that S corps have to follow. The primary regulation being that the shareholder, you, will have to take a reasonable salary, a W-2 salary. And when you do make the S selection, you'll need to be prepared to set yourself up on payroll. There's a million providers for payroll services. You can use QuickBooks Online, Gusto, ADP, Paychecks, all of those systems, but you'll need to set up a payroll system in place for yourself as a W-2 worker. And one of the things that I also wanted to talk about today is what's an employee versus a W-2 in a W-2 worker, right? Versus an independent contractor, a 1099 worker. Those areas tend to be a little gray, right? Because sometimes you may bring somebody on as an independent contractor and their role starts to shift a little bit. But the things that you have to think about is if someone is an independent contractor, they set their own hours, they work their own days, they have tasks that they accomplish for you, but they do it at their own time, right? An employee, a W-2 worker, works your schedule. They don't necessarily have to be in your establishment, but they work the schedule hours that you plan for them. They're where you need them to be and those times that you need them to be there. So there's a very key difference about a W-2 worker versus a W-2 1099 worker. But what I want to implore you, because I've started to see the IRS sending out letters that people are not filing the proper paperwork for their independent contractors or their W-2 workers. When you hire somebody, even if it's whether it's an independent contractor or if it's a W-2 worker, make sure that you collect their identification. You need a government identification, and you'll want a copy of their Social Security card or their tax ID number. Because at the end of the year in January, you're going to need to prepare their tax forms. So if you need to prepare a W-2, you're going to need that information for that. If you need to prepare a 1099 NEC, the NEC stands for non-employee compensation. You're going to need that information to prepare that. So when you hire somebody on, if they're going to be a W-2 employee, you need to make sure that they fill out a W-4. If they're going to be a 1099 employee, independent contractor, let me correct that. If they're going to be a 1099 independent contractor, you need to make sure they fill out a W-9. But even when they fill out those forms, you're going to want to get copies of their Social Security cards and government issued identification card, because you're going to need that information to file that 1099 NEC or the W-2. It is imperative that you have that information right, is correct, because what will happen if you don't, the IRS will send you a letter about this time that says that the information that you have on file is incorrect for one of your tax forms and that you will need to resubmit it with the correct information, or you'll need to start withholding additional compensation from that worker. So make sure that you do those things. Taking on a business comes with a lot of different layers, right? Don't try to have your hand in every pot. If this is not your sweet spot, the accounting and the tax strategy piece and the advisory piece, make sure that you bring on professionals in those areas to help you, because the mistakes can be very, very costly, not only on the front end, but on the penalty and interest side on the back end. So if you need help, feel free to hit the link in my bio. I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Look at me doing a video a week later. I'm getting better, guys. I hope to see you soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.